Hi, I'm Harvey. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to make a breakfast gravy with a twist. This is called Southern tomato gravy. And it's basically a bacon gravy with tomato in it. It doesn't use milk. It uses chicken broth. And we're going to see how this comes out. Just imagining the flavors in my mind, it kind of seemed like it would be a little strange. But it's really popular in the South and I wanted to give it a try. So I'm going to share that with you and we'll do it together. And then at the end, we'll do a taste and we'll see how it goes. Carmen was nice enough to bake some fresh biscuits to put it on today. So we hope this will come out really good. Here we go. I picked up a pound of bacon at the store this morning and we're going to cut that up into small pieces. And then we're going to reduce it down and render out the fat so we can use the oil in the gravy, plus we'll add the bacon back in at the time. So let's get started chopping up the bacon. Okay, there's our bacon all cut up. Now we're not going to use all this in the recipe, but I figured since we're cooking it, might as well render it all down, save the grease and save the extra bacon for other things. Okay, let's cook some bacon. You can't go wrong with bacon in moderation. So that's going to take a while to render down. We'll let that do its thing and then we'll come back. When rendering down any quantity of meat like this, you really want to get that best cook on the meat and an even cook. The best thing to do is to get rid of that oil like that. Wipe off the edge of the pan, put it back on the burner. Then what we're going to do is put the meat back in and basically fry it some more, but without that extra oil in there now, it can finish rendering and crisping the meat. Otherwise, it doesn't quite do as good. This is a good way to finish off rendering down bacon or any kind of fatty meat. Just a suggestion. Now for this recipe, we want 3 tablespoons of this bacon grease. So we're going to measure that out. There's 1. We're going to put it in this little hot dish. That bacon grease is still really hot. There's 2. And then here's 3. Now that's measured out. The rest of the grease we'll just save in another container for another purpose. Okay, our bacon's done. We're going to just drain out the rest of this. Put it over here. Nice crunchy bacon bits. There we go. We'll let that drain. Put this back on. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put the 3 tablespoons of oil in. And since everything's already hot, it won't take long. We're going to add in 3 tablespoons of flour. Then we're going to get our whisk. And we want to cook this until the flour starts to brown. I've got another whisk. I just got some new rubber whisks for our non-stick pans. Look at this one. It's flat. That should work really good for this gravy because it'll scrape the bottom of the pan. Now it says use chicken broth. I'm going to show you a little trick I learned about chicken broth. If you use bouillon, you can add uh, 3/4 of a teaspoon is 1 serving. So we're going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon to the flour mix. You mix that in, then you just add plain water, and you don't have to like do it in the microwave or something. Blend it in the water first. You can just actually blend it right into your gravy. You can do that with most any seasoning. You can put your salt and pepper in now. Get them all in there before you start adding the liquids. Just going to put a little bit of salt, and we're going to add a little bit of pepper. And mix all that together. I'm still waiting for the flour to get a little brown. We want this gravy to thicken up, but because this pan doesn't heat evenly, I have to keep drawing it into the middle where the heat actually is. Probably wasn't the best pan to do the gravy in, but I did it because it's already available from cooking the bacon. And grab those tomatoes. That's a lot. But it's still not very thick yet. I'd like it to get thicker before I put the tomato in, so the roux will act as a thickening agent for the gravy. I'm looking at this roux and I'm thinking that's not thick enough. I'm going to add a little more flour. Put in about another teaspoon. Because we haven't added all the liquid from the tomato. Okay, so there we go. That's better. You can add flour as long as it's just the oil in there. Once you add the water and the liquids, the flour would just clump. But since it's only oil, the oil will mix with the flour. We're still in the roux stage, making the gravy. Okay, that looks better. Much better. A little bit thick. Okay, now we're going to add in a can of diced tomatoes. Now for the diced tomatoes, I'm using petite because I want the pieces to be small. There's no salt added, that way I can control the sodium. We're just going to pour that in. Mix that around. Oh yeah, it's getting thick already. Now remember, we're supposed to add chicken broth. And we added the flavor, but we didn't add the water yet. So at this point, I'm not worried about it being too thick. There we go. Now, this is 10 ounces of water. Start with that. I didn't add the whole 10. I probably added about 5, 6 ounces. Now remember, it's supposed to be a gravy, so you don't want it too runny. Looks beautiful. Consistency is looking really good. See how it's a little thick and pasty right there in the middle? But it's really wet on the outside. Okay, we just keep mixing that. This spatula is working really good for manipulating this flat area. Yeah, good consistency. Let's add a little bacon in there. I don't know. We'll just take there's about half a cup. Yeah, let's do about another half a cup. Oh, that's a little, not quite a cup. Oh, now we're getting hot. We're going to turn the cooker down, that temperature down. You don't want gravy to boil too much. It'll scorch. Get it off the edges here. This is going to be so good, I think. I was kind of had my doubts at first, but I'm starting to think it's going to be really good. We're going to add a little more of that water. My pan's almost not big enough. Oh yeah, it's coming together good. Don't judge your gravy too soon. You'll see some wet spots around the edges, but you see it thicker and drier in the middle. So just keep mixing. Wait until it's consistent all the way around in thickness. And a nice cook on it. That's going to be good and thick right there. Not too thick. Let's see. Yeah, that's good gravy thickness right there. So on the water, 8 ounces would have been plenty for the broth. And that's with the added teaspoon. So I used actually 3 tablespoons on a teaspoon of flour and a little less water. And that has to do with, the liquid content of your tomatoes can vary from can to can, from brand to brand. So the nice thing about pouring in the water last, you can adjust. And guys, I think we got it. Southern tomato gravy with bacon. We're going to turn that off and we're going to set it up over a biscuit. Mmm. Okay, I've got one of Carmen's homemade biscuits. She made them today. We're just going to cut that in half. Going to lay it on the plate over here. That. We're going to take a spoon. Put some of this gravy on it. That. And we're going to say bon appetit. There's Southern tomato gravy. Let's give it a taste. Okay, here's our Southern tomato gravy on a fresh homemade biscuit. Let's find out. Did it work? Taste the bacon. Mm. One more time. Okay. Okay, don't go into this thinking it's going to taste like normal gravy for biscuits and gravy. The tomato presence is very strong. It makes it very different. It has the consistency and the texture of gravy. It's really got that strong tomato blend into it. So if you're not a big tomato fan, this gravy probably wouldn't be for you. But if you really like tomatoes and you like that fresh bite, you know, one thing about it is sausage gravy or bacon gravy tends to be really strong in flavor because of the fat. The tomato offsets that. The tomato brings a sweetness and a tartness and a different flavor to the gravy um, that makes it more fresh and less heavy, if that makes sense. Less overtone of savory. It's pretty good in its own way, and I can see why this would be a popular dish, especially if you grew up on it. It's pretty easy to make, actually, and it doesn't require milk. You could, I suppose, use milk instead of the chicken broth, and that, but it's plenty creamy. It didn't really need it to like make it creamy like you would need for a white gravy. Um, so overall, I would give this about a 7 out of 10. I mean, I would say it's favorable. I wouldn't say it's really woo in there, but I would recommend giving it a try and see if it's a flavor you would like, if you like tomatoes. Um, but yeah, there's nothing more I can say about it. I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, please. It helps us with YouTube. And give us a subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel already. Enjoyed this time together as always. Have a great day.